Long ago, 10 suns burned the earth to dust. Rivers turned to steam. Forests became ash. Only one archer, they say, could save what remained. His name was Hou Yi. In the time before memory, the sky held 10 sons, 10 brothers, children of the Jade Emperor, who were meant to take turns crossing the heavens. One sun each day. That was the order of things. But the brothers grew restless, and one morning all 10 rose together. The crops withered. The seas began to boil. People fled into caves and still found no shelter from the burning. The Emperor of Heaven looked down at the scorched world and sent for the greatest archer who had ever drawn a bow. Hou Yi stood on a high mountain, the wind pulling at his robes, and looked up into the white blaze of 10 suns blazing overhead. He drew his bow. The first sun fell like a dying coal, trailing smoke across the sky. Then the second, then the third. One by one, Hou Yi loosed his arrows, and one by one the suns collapsed. He would have taken all 10, but the Jade Emperor, watching from his celestial court, quietly removed one arrow from Hou Yi's quiver. One sun must remain. And so one sun remained, and the world cooled, and the earth breathed again. Hou Yi descended the mountain a hero. But heroes are not always rewarded with happiness. For what he had done, killing the divine sons of heaven, Hou Yi and his wife, Chang'e, were stripped of their immortality. They were sent down to live as mortals on the earth, beneath the very sky he had emptied. Some time passed, and it was said that the Queen Mother of the West, who kept her garden in the far mountains where peaches of immortality bloomed once every 1,000 years, looked upon Hou Yi with something close to mercy. She summoned him, and from the folds of her robe she produced a single vial, small enough to rest in one palm, glowing with the faint silver light of something not quite of this world. "This is the elixir of immortality," she told him. "Enough for 2 people to live forever, or enough for 1 person to ascend to godhood." Hou Yi took the vial home and placed it on a high shelf, wrapped in silk. He was not yet ready to drink it. Perhaps he wanted to wait for the right moment, a quiet night, a full moon, something that felt worthy of such a gift. He told Chang'e where it was. And then he left on a journey. Among Hou Yi's students was a young man named Feng Meng, who had devoted himself to the art of the bow with singular, consuming obsession. He wanted to be the greatest archer in the world, but as long as Hou Yi lived, that would never be true. And now he had heard about the elixir. On the night Hou Yi was away, Feng Meng came to the house. He was armed. He demanded the elixir. Chang'e stood alone. She looked at the vial on the shelf. She looked at the man before her, his hands open, his eyes certain. There was no time to run, no one nearby to call for, and she understood with the cold clarity of a moment that has already decided itself, that if she surrendered the elixir to Feng Meng, a cruel and hungry man would become immortal. She reached for the vial, and she drank it herself. What happened next is described in many ways. Some say it was sudden, that she rose from the floor like smoke, weightless, her feet lifting without her willing them to. Others say it was slow, a long and gentle ascent, the way a lantern climbs a dark sky. What all the stories agree on is this: Chang'e floated upward, through the ceiling and through the clouds, past the place where birds stop flying, into the cold silence above the world. She rose toward the moon, and the moon, pale and still, received her. She landed in a palace of crystal and cold jade, where no fire burns and no seasons change. It was vast and silent and very beautiful. And she was utterly alone. When Hou Yi returned and found her gone, he walked into the courtyard and looked up. The moon was full that night, and he thought he could see, in the pale wash of its light, the outline of someone standing at a very great distance, looking back down. He could not follow. The elixir was gone. He was still mortal. The sky that he had once commanded with his bow was now only a ceiling he could look at and not enter. He set out a table in the courtyard. He placed on it the things she loved: mooncakes, round and golden as the harvest moon, fruits and sweet things, incense, whose smoke rises like a letter without words. He sat beneath the open sky, and he did not go inside. He did this again the next night, and the night after that. People who knew him saw what he was doing and understood it without needing it explained. And quietly, gently, across the villages and valleys, others began to do the same, setting out offerings beneath the full moon, not out of superstition, but out of recognition. That grief looks up. That love, when it has nowhere else to go, becomes a gesture made in the direction of what is lost. On the moon, Chang'e was not entirely without company. There was a rabbit, a jade-white rabbit, who had come to the moon by its own sacrifice, and who now lived in a small clearing among the laurels, grinding the herbs of immortality with a stone pestle. He worked without hurry, as if time on the moon meant something different than it did below. And there was an osmanthus tree, ancient and silver-barked, always in bloom. Its flowers are small and gold and carry a fragrance so fine you can barely name it. The tree cannot be cut down. A man named Wu Gang was condemned to chop at it for eternity, and every night it heals, and every morning he begins again. The sound of his axe, some say, is what you hear when wind moves through autumn branches. Chang'e tends her cold and luminous palace. She watches the earth turn beneath her. And on the night each year when the moon is fullest and most round, she is said to stand at the edge of her high and silent home and look down. That night is what we now call the Mid-Autumn Festival. Families gather, as they have for centuries, to sit beneath the open sky and eat mooncakes together. They look at the moon the way Hou Yi once looked at it, not searching for an explanation, but simply acknowledging what is there. A woman who chose sacrifice over surrender. An archer who learned that even the greatest strength cannot hold everything it loves. And a moon that keeps its light steady, night after night, indifferent to nothing. The mooncakes are round because the moon is round, and the moon is beautiful in part because of what it holds. Look up on a clear autumn night. The moon asks nothing of you. It only shines as it always has across the long and patient dark.